Right, so stepping into fuck me, episode number 12. Oh, by the way, you can swear on this, right? So there's no limits on language in that. Episode number 12 of the Over the Hill podcast with myself, James Hill, in the hot seat. Very special guest today, someone who was on my checklist of people that I wanted to get on when I first came up with the idea of the pod. The one and only legendary producer, man responsible for what I consider to be the greatest UK garage track of all time. I'm sitting down today with the one and only Brasstooth. Nev, what's happening, mate?
What's going on, brother? Man, listen, that was a big intro, brother. I'm getting a bit hot. Big intro.
Got to put the pressure on from early. Do you know what I mean,
mate? From the get-go, jeez.
So how's life been treating you in the times of COVID? Because I know you've been continuously working throughout.
Well, you know what? Since I departed from I don't say departed. Since I've had my little break from the music, I've been a train driver. You get what I mean? So literally, I've been out there literally every day while the COVID thing's been going on. You get what I mean? So where I've noticed the difference in when it got really quiet and now it's starting to build up again. You get what I mean? Yeah. And I know this is going to sound really mean, but when it was quiet, I loved it. Because you could just get in your car and go where you're going. Like for me to get from here to Horsham, 35, 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Now it's back to an hour plus. You get what I mean? And where are these people going? Where are they going?
I know, right?
Where are they
going? Yeah, because no one's taking that route to go Gatwick, are they? Because no one can fucking go anywhere.
No one can fly. So where are they going? You get what I mean?
Yeah, no, I've been the same. Like it was mad. I've said it a couple of times on the pod. Like during the first lockdown, because I live in Pimlico, so I'm right in the. So during the first lockdown, I was like going out cycling. The roads are empty. Like walking around everywhere was nice. It was calm in zone one. Everything was like nice, proper nice. But now everyone's back to work. Traffic's back.
Exactly.
Like, it's just
and the thing is, it's not even being wicked or nothing. But when I say the roads were dead. You know what I mean? It was like literally you could go from A to B. Like I was going down to 25, M20, 23, and it was only me on it. Like I've never seen that. Never.
Yeah, there's been benefits. One of the benefits is probably to the environment, but we are where we are. We're getting back to normal, which is good. Obviously, yourself been in the music game for a long time. Loads of people that are going to be listening to this, like mutual friends and stuff as well, all in the same boat. Loads of people have lost gigs and they want to get back to normal. So happy days are coming. And I'm really happy to be sitting down and being able to do this today. So getting into the music game, obviously you've got a long storied history with house and garage music, but where did the love of music first come from for you?
Right, music for me. Oh, this is going way back.
I know we're going to show your age as well.
Oh, wow. I'm not going to put no dates on it because you're going to be like, Fogey! No, I'm not having none of that. Right, so when I was younger, I used to play bass for a funk band. So that's me. Initially, I'm a bass player.
Yep.
So I was playing bass for this funk band and we were doing the whole musical thing, trying to get ourselves noticed, yeah? And what happened was, we got this studio time off this, who was he? A&R man at Ireland at the time who was Darkest Bees. Now, anyone in the industry knows Darkest was the big cheese.
Yep.
This was when he was starting out, right? So Darkest gave us some studio time. I'm with my band. Now, we had Monday to Friday, they gave us 5 days. Now, we wrote a load of songs, but the band, when they went in there, chose to record 4 songs that I had nothing to do with. You get what I mean? So you could see the power struggle there already. Remember, I'm thinking, yeah, these are my boys. My boys are thinking, you ain't with us, yeah? So anyway, so they recorded these songs, yeah? And then we get to Friday now, there's 4 hours left. They go, oh, you got anything more to record? I go, mate, you haven't recorded nothing that I've been involved in. And they go, okay, have you got anything? Yeah, literally, it was like a throwaway thing for them. So I said, okay, let's record this tune, right? So this is something that I'd record, done all the pre-production was. So literally, this was back in the days when you used to bring your Atari STE into the studio, you know, them days, right? So I brought this in, done this tune, wrote the lyrics really quickly, got the singer to sing it, literally. So tune's done. We've had to go back to see the A&R man. Have a guess what was the only record he liked. So I'm sitting there now. Then it come back that there was another bass player who had a studio. So I was surplus to requirements. So basically, cut a long story short, I was kind of like forced out. So I was like, okay, so what do I do now? So they remember, so they signed a publishing deal and I've been forced out. So I'm like, what do I do? What do I do? Now, this is floating around, you know, like the rave era.
Yep.
So you're talking about early 90s, yeah? So this is floating around the rave era. So I'm like, so I started going to these raves and everything, yeah? And that was my first proper indoctrination into dance music. So I'm hearing all this stuff and I'm like, and I always remember I went to this place called Rave at the Cave, which was, I think, near London Bridge. And I'm in there, it's a little kind of, it's like a tunnel, but mate, the atmosphere in there was absolutely electric. And that was my first foray into 4/4, because before that I was just funk and whatever. So I'm listening to this and I'm looking at the people, I'm loving the energy, I'm watching them jumping up and down. And then I'm like, you know what? I could get into some of this. You get what I mean? So I had a little bit of equipment at my house, tried to make some of the stuff, but my sounds were off, my production was off, nothing was really happening. But each time I tried something, it was getting better and better and better, right? So after that,
because you've got a basis in playing an instrument, though, that's always going to give you an early advantage when you start to get into things like that, because at least you've got something to start from, as opposed to someone who looks at a keyboard and goes, eh.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I did understand music theory. You get what I mean? I'm not saying I'm one of them guys who went through the whole grade 1 to grade 8 piano playing, but I do understand theory. I do understand how to manipulate chords. I do understand trichords. And if you listen to my music, there's a lot of trichords where you use 3 notes plus 3 notes, which creates another chord. You get what I mean? So I do a lot of that in my music. So I did have a good understanding of that. You get what I mean? So where was I? So I'm listening to all this stuff, and then I bumped into this guy called Kristen. Now, Kristen was in a band called Genocide 2. Now, Genocide are credited as being the first group that started jungle. They had a tune called Narrow Mind, yeah? So I played keys on Narrow Mind. And in this band, they had this guy called Darius Keeler. He's gone on to become Archive. Archive are like, in UK, they don't sell a lot of records. In Europe and the rest of the world, they're as big as Madonna. Huge Archive, right? So done some stuff with these guys, come out on this rave label called Hum Records. Stuff come out, it done okay, didn't do badly, didn't do great, done okay. But then that gave me the foray into wanting to get my product out. You get what I mean? Because that was my first record literally out. So I thought, okay, cool. So I've done a few things with them where I played additional keyboards. Remember, I'm a bass player, self-taught keyboard player. You get what I mean? Moved on, and then all of a sudden now everything started to progress towards, you had the split from rave and jungle. I was there when that started happening. And then when you had the jungle thing, in the little smaller rooms, you had little garagey things.
Yeah, it's funny. We were talking. I had you probably remember Ricky D from ISFM.
Yeah.
I had him as a guest on I think it was episode 7, and he was saying that jungle was always his thing, but when he was going to these big events like AWOL and stuff, in room 2 was always that Sunday scene, like the proper deep house that came and turned into the garage. So yeah, like the parallels with people from similar times is quite funny to listen to.
That was the way, because like you had your main room, and then you had this little other room, where, and I'll be honest, the little room was chock-a-block. And I'm like, what's going on in here? So I've gone in there, and I didn't know at the time, but this was Grant Nelson City. So I'm literally rocking, I'm thinking, raw, this is the thing, man. Oh, I'm on this. So I'm listening to this, and I thought, yeah, let me try and get involved with this, So I thought, yes, I'll go home. And my friend used to run this club called Mum's the Word. I don't know if you've ever heard of that, but that was like early morning, like the breakfast club scene.
Yep.
So it started at 6 in the morning and finished at 8 in the evening. it was one of them ones, yeah. So he used to run that, and I went to him, look, I want to start putting out these type of records. So he said, okay, cool, let's try it. So we done this track and we called it the 6-track EP. First track we ever did. Got it all pressed up, and he was playing at his club. Some of the DJs, I didn't even know at the time, but it was Hermit, Norris, Carl Brown, Matt Lamont, Francis J, all these guys. And I was like, at the time, I didn't know who they were, you get what I mean? So anyway, so we done this 6-track EP, sold it around to a couple of shops, gave it to a few of the DJs. They played on the scene, but it didn't kind of build. It was just like, they used to play it when they were there, and there's only a couple of DJs that played it. So it was like, we put money into it. I'm not sure if we even made our money back, you get what I mean? So it's like, yeah, time for another tune. So I got in the studio, cooked up this tune, cooked it up, went to right, I need your money. So it's £500 to press up whites and whatever. I said, yeah, I need your money. Give me 250. I'll put my 250. He wouldn't get. He's saying, well, I don't really know, and I don't know, and so what? You're not going to be involved in this? And he goes, well, we didn't really make back our money, and I was like, okay.
To be fair, 250 quid in the mid-90s was quite a bit of dough.
It was, well, now remember, this is 96. Yeah. So he was like, no. Okay, so I went, okay, cool. The tune in question was I Can't Quite. Right. So
I was gonna ask the order it came in, because I was pretty sure that was the first one.
Yeah, that was the very first one. So got them. I managed to find the money. I think I borrowed some off my mum and the girl I was seeing at the time. You know what I mean? Yeah, they did love me to give me money, right? So I pressed up this tune. No one understood when they saw all these boxes around the house, yeah? So I've got these boxes now. I've got this record pressed. I got it mastered. Didn't know how to sell them, right? So I went up to a shop called Unity? And Noodles was working there. This is how I met Noodles. So I walked into the Unity, and I've gone in there and I've gone, yeah, you're right. And me, you know how loud or whatever I am. So I walked in the shop and I've gone, yeah, you're right. I'm running around selling my record, and I don't know if you guys would be interested in buying my record. And Noodles goes, yeah, man, let me hear this thing. So he played the first side, and the first side's a rap where it's like a garage groove with me rapping over the top of it. And I was kind of really proud of it. I'm like, yeah. The flip side was where I took a sample of I Can't Quite Understand, and literally pieced it together in about not even 20 minutes just to take up that side of the vinyl. So it wasn't even the main track. He flipped it over. He played that, and he goes, how many you got on you? I was like, well, I got 500 in the car. He goes, give me all of them, come back and see me in a week and a half. Right, so I said, okay, cool. I go, do I get any payment up front? He goes, no, what we'll do is we give you SOR and then you come back and you pick up your money. I said, okay. He took the records Saturday morning. By Monday, I had a phone call. Have you got any more? I went, how much do you need? He goes, could you get me 2,000? I said, okay, cool.
For anyone listening who doesn't know, just quickly, Noodles is one half of Groove Chronicles, legendary UK garage producer.
Yeah.
Absolutely legendary as well.
Legendary. So I said, okay, cool. So I went back, got another 2,000, and then I went to him, well, you're gonna have to pay for half up front. And he goes, okay, cool. When he said that, I knew I had something, yeah? So I gave him the 1,000 records. It was about a week later, yeah? I gave him the 1,000 records. No, I gave him the 2,000 records. And literally 2 weeks later, have you got any more? I'm like, oh my God, how much do you need? He goes, give me another 2. So I pressed up and up. So I don't know who or where he's selling this record. All I know is that I'm going to him and he's giving me back what I asked for, you get what I'm saying? In the end, I think Noodles must have done on his own, before I discovered all the other shops, Noodles must have done about 6,000 to 8,000 on his own.
Wow.
You get what I mean? So I don't know if he was selling it to other shops or whatever. But then what I started to do now is I started to go around and find, like, you know, like you had the flyers, and on the back of the flyers, it had all the record shops.
Yeah.
So I'm running around on the back of the flyers.
Because they were all the places where you buy tickets for raves, right?
You buy tickets for raves. So I'm walking in there now, and I'm like, yeah. I'm selling my record. Then they put it on. We've been looking for that record. Yeah, give me a box. And a box of whites would set you back £3 a record. So you're talking £120 a box, because they're 40 in a box. Yeah, literally, one man's go, yeah, give me 2 boxes. I go, you do realize it's cash up front? Yeah, no problem. Listen, in the end, I think it was near 16,000 I sold of that record. Right. First record, literally skyrocketed. And I was just like, oh my God.
What was the press that came out? Because I think the vinyl I've got upstairs is the black one, and it's got Now Is the Time on the other side. Was that like the second release?
That's a repress. The original has a massive A on it and a massive B on it. You get what I'm saying? And of that original press, I think there's about 4,000 of that. You get what I mean? You know what I mean? So, yeah, man, that record, it kind of like paved the way. You get what I mean? So, and also the story of how that record come about. So I'm in the studio and I'm listening. I'm like the biggest Grant Nelson fan. You know what I mean?
Me too.
When I'm talking about, it's veering on obsession. You get what I mean? So I'm listening to Grant stuff, and the tune that I heard was a 24-hour experience. Right? So I heard that, and then I also heard Blue for You. So I'm sitting down, listening to both of them together and thinking, yeah, they're both in the key, C minor, blah, 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 yada. So I'm listening to them, and I'm like, oh my God, he's left the little bass sample. So I've chopped the bass sample, played it up and down the keyboard, yeah. Oh, he's left the little key sample. So I've chopped the little key sample and played it up. And then if you go, there's a tune, let's remember it. DJ Disciple done a remix of Grant Nelson's tune, Coming Up. You got me coming up, I just can't control your feet. The DJ Disciple, he's left that, you know, that distinctive Brasstooth drums.
Yep.
Right at the end of that record, you've got 2 bars of it. So I was like, that's it. So I pieced it all together. That tune I can't quite understand. The only thing I programmed it was the hi-hat. Everything else was samples. When it come out, mate, that tune skyrocketed.
But that's how it's always been, though. And it's like I had SO Beats from Tough Love on a couple of episodes ago, and he was saying that when he was coming up, it was like the early grime days and stuff like that. And everyone's record, he was the one that made a lot of the mashups that EZ was battering. So all of the ones that had samples on there, Steph was the one that did all of that. He's the one that cut all of them up. But he was basically saying the same thing. Like most of his early productions that were his own stuff weren't even his own stuff. It's all literally just it's the hat from that, it's the snare from that. Like even like we still do it now. Like obviously I had the label on it a while ago, and we were doing a radio show one night, and we were playing what's it called? It was last summer. We were playing Antil Mob, Things Got Started. Don't worry, girl, cause we got all night. At the very end of that record, if you let it play right to the end, there's a sample. You're probably going to nick it now yourself. There's a sample right at the very, very end without any beat or anything. It just goes, we got all night. And it's just my boy, like, he heard it and he went, was that at the end of that record? I went, yeah. He went, nicking that. Like, it just happens all the time. But the thing is that was nicked from somewhere anyway. So it's like,
exactly.
Round and round it goes, isn't it?
But the thing is, as I said, it's like, because of all that creativity, like you know me for years, yeah? I'm about vibes, you get what I mean? So when I hear a tune, like there was a lot of garage floating around in the early days that I used to turn my eyes up at. But there were certain other ones where I'd be like, oh my God, that is a tune, you get what I mean? So obviously in the early days when I was just trying to find my feet, I used to just sample a lot. And then obviously I veered out the sampling and got into the actual playing, you get what I'm saying? You know what I mean? So yeah, that's
the natural progression for a lot of people, I think. But as I say, you know, you had the musical background, you were able to play at least one instrument, so you understood chords. Plus, you knew the technical side of things. A lot of people still to this day don't understand like how you cut this and do that. Like I do this podcast, but I was producing podcasts for a well-known betting company for a friend that works through them. And like all the time, he was like, they were paying me money to produce every episode because they didn't have anyone that understood how to cut a vocal and put in this conversation here and add a jingle and program, like automate this. They like, literally just foreign. They looked at Logic and they were just like, eh? So I was like, all right, cool. Take me 20 minutes to do an episode. Do you know what I mean?
And that's the funny thing, because remember, even now, like people call me a producer. I still don't really see myself as a producer. I see myself as one of them old school jazz punkers, you get what I mean? But I had no choice but to learn everything else that goes around it, because on certain times, I believe I've been dealt a rough hand, you get what I'm saying? Yeah. When I'm with my band and, you know what I mean, where you think, yeah, you're going to take over the world, and then they do their bit, and then all of a sudden, you're left on your own. I love music. How am I going to continue this? And the funny thing is, when I started to drop my records, everybody, especially around Croydon where I live, yeah, everybody knew who done them tunes, you get what I mean? So obviously the whole band must have heard it, you get what I mean? Yeah. Oh, he's skyrocketed now, you get what I mean? So that was kind of like a, yeah, that should teach you kind of thing, you get what I mean?
So talking of Croydon, obviously like we've got a connection, you were mates with my dad very long time ago. Where did you get into the DJ thing? Was that before or after you started releasing the other records? Because I know you were doing a lot of the clubs around there with him. I know it's probably around the time of Celebrate Life, and we'll get onto that. And I'm sure I will chew your ear off about that record for a little while. But obviously, like when I was a kid, my dad would come home and he'd be like, "Oh yeah, my mate Nev's made this tune," and I was, you know, I remember hearing it and everything else. But I know you were DJing with him, and I think when Mike was running a few clubs around there, and that, I know you were there around them times, and the heyday of when Croydon the Orchid was massive and that. Did that come a little bit later on after the records?
That was kind of like when Celebrate blew and people knew that I had value. And this is all it is. Yeah. Because I had value, they put me in room 2, which was dead. And within a week, they knew Brasstooth was there. It was Ram. That's all that was. It was like economics, you get what I mean? And so when I first started...
We'll get into it. We'll get into it. I'll leave that for a minute, and we'll go into the records then, and then we'll get into club life, because obviously everyone knows you for a couple of big records. One of them being I can't quite understand. Which one came first? Was it Pleasure or Celebrate Life?
Celebrate Life came first, and that's got a weird story to it, right? Because I was talking to Grant. Grant didn't realize that. Yeah. Now.
I'm like a musical anorak, but I thought it was Pleasure. It was always first. So no, I guess we're going to have to get into it. So in the intro, I said that you're responsible for the greatest garage track of all time, and I'll take that with me to the day I die, and I'll fight with anyone who disagrees, especially with regards to two-step vocal garage. Obviously, you know, a quick touch on the fact that we did lose the other person responsible.
Yeah, Sean. Yeah, right at the start of COVID. That's the senior past. Yeah,
rest in peace, Sean. So obviously, want to shout him out and make that known that it's not just you that did it. It's another guy as well. But yeah, for me, it's the greatest record of all time in the garage scene, as I say. And
pressure again.
So let's get into the story behind the track. And bro, I can't tell you, like, I've been in a few clubs where it's dropped, and every single person, hands in the air, whether it's Ministry of Sound, whether it's wherever, it's timeless. It's a fucking timeless record. So let's get into Celebrate Life, the process behind it, and, you know, the writing, and also, if you can, touch on the video shoot up Grove.
Right, okay. So, Celebrate. I was having a conversation with Grant Nelson. Grant Nelson never knew this, yeah? The tune that influenced Celebrate Life is Dita, Relax.
Yep.
So 100%. If you listen to Dita, how did Dita go again? It goes right. So you remember at them piano steps.
Yeah, it's that proper bump and flex style from Grant.
Yeah, that proper bump and flex. Yeah. So it had that. So I heard the piano stab, and I was like, right, how can I take that piano stab and extend it? So if you listen to Celebrate, it's so I've literally created a tune out of one, two stabs that Grant did. You get what I mean? So the whole writing process, you never believe this. So initially, when Celebrate was done, I'm in bed, I'm fast asleep. And then this idea hit me. Now, back in the day, I used to always, my studio was in my bedroom, and I had like a Mackie Digital and all that kind of stuff. So I had kit in my room. So I had a little bed, the smallest bed you could get, with all this kit around me here. So I'm asleep in my bed, and this idea come to me. And I'm like, listen, I need to put it down. So bearing in mind that Grant's already influenced me, I put down all this stuff. And then I went back to bed, and then I got up the next day, and I was like, oh my God. So obviously I tidied it up now. So you had the whole structure of the song. And at the time I was at university, I was at Westminster University doing my music degree. So I had the whole structure of the song, and then I've gone into uni, and we had Sean was on the degree course, and I'm like, Sean, I've got this track. For me, the music is absolutely awesome, but it needs a powerful vocal. And he was like the best singer on the course. I went, do you want to do a track? And he was like, yeah, okay, let's do this. Yeah. So he's gone away and he's come back and he sung the track. And let's say 95% of it was there. But the bit that I didn't like was when he started the chorus started in the chorus. And I said, no, what you need to do is get the first bit of the chorus to start at the end of the verse. So you've got that build into it. So that's where he went away, and then he come back with that music, there's a chance to, then the chorus starts. Wow. You get what I mean? So when I heard it, I was like, yeah, that's the one. You get what I mean? So then he come to the, I produced it up, got it all pressed, sent it out, and these were the days when I used to send out records, because anyone knows me now, I don't give away nothing, yeah? So, apart from your dad, right? So, I sent it out to everybody, I sent it out to Dream Team, I sent it out to Andy Ward, I sent it out to everybody. No one was playing it. Nobody, right? Now, you got the Dream Team who are holding up their hands saying, yeah, they broke the tune in London. Let me tell you the story behind that. Andy Ward in Birmingham called me up and he goes, Nev, that tune you've done, you've got to come down and do an interview, because that tune is an anthem in Birmingham. I was, really? Remember, in London, nothing. The tune's out for about a year. Nothing's really happening, yeah? So I've gone to Birmingham. I've done this interview, and Andy's taken me to a club that he was playing at afterwards before I drove back up to London, right? So it's like midway in his set, then he drops this tune. Lord have mercy. That's the first time I've seen one of my tunes proper go off. And I was like, wow, right? So it's an anthem in Birmingham long before it's an anthem in London. The Dream Team were doing a tour with Andy. So when it comes to the Birmingham leg, Andy's there. So obviously they're playing their London music, and Andy's Birmingham knows the crowd, knows what they like. Drops my tune. My tune explodes the dance floor. They're like, who is this? And he goes, yeah, this is Brasstooth. They've had the record for nearly a year, and no one's really playing it. The next thing I hear, they come back to London now, and they start supporting this team. Spooney's playing it last tune at Coliseum. They start playing it on all their radio shows, this, that, and the other. And then the tune started to build, yeah? But remember, that's 9 months, nearly a year. At that same time, Pleasure's come out. So you had the dregs of Celebrate just starting to build, and then you had Pleasure. Now, Pleasure was a sledgehammer song, right? You remember, everybody used to complain, oh, this tune, you can't mix it, and this, that, and the other, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you wussies, if you're a DJ, you can mix it. Simple as that. But when Pleasure played, the very first time at the Coliseum, I was there because I gave the brother a dub plate. When it played for the very first time in the Coliseum, it got 5 rewinds. And I was like, wow. So I'm thinking Pleasure's gonna go. Then all of a sudden, Celebrate took off. So I've got 2 big tunes, and it's never a good thing to have 2 big tunes at the same time, because one will cancel out the other. You get what I mean? So Celebrate started to go. So you're talking about, now this is 99, yeah? 99. So it goes, and then it kind of peaks, and then it kind of not dies down, but it's everybody's staple diet, everybody's playing it, yeah? Then in 2000, I think it was January, February 2000, it goes up again. This time now, Warner come in and say, yeah, we got to sign this record, yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. And then I signed it to Warner. They done an excellent job of the marketing, not. June, literally, everybody's saying this tune should have been at least a top 10. It never happened. It, you know what I mean? It didn't even chart. And then the new A&R man or the new director come in, and everybody that was dance orientated, who was signed to Warner at the time, literally got dropped. You get what I mean? So
I think a big problem for garage around them times, it was kind of touched on in that Rewind Forever documentary that they did with Grant and everyone else. There was so much of a market for R&B remixes of UK garage style remixes of R&B that original UK garage kind of got left by the wayside. Even, you can say like Mystique, for example, got big through garage, but they were still remixes of R&B records.
They were R&B records, exactly.
Yeah, a lot of their records, I think maybe apart, actually, no, even All I Want was a Sunship remix. You know what I mean? So, yeah, exactly. A lot of the market was for remixes of R&B and American R&B. So I think a lot of original vocalists got left by the wayside, with the exception of probably Elizabeth Troy, because that was MJ, you know? Like Crazy Love, and that was obviously huge. But
exactly what you're saying there. It's like it got hard because they wanted to hear a certain thing. And remember, going back to the beginning, I used to be a bass player in an R&B back, so I'm about songs. You get what I mean? So I've got this song sitting there, and you know what I mean? It's like, how do you make this thing work? You get what I mean? So when it actually is working, and I'm telling you, brother, you will never understand what it's like when you're in an arena and there's 3,000 people in there, and you hear, use this day as a chance to start again, and everybody's hands go up. Yeah. You're like, wow. Totally blew my mind, that experience. And then, so that's kind of like the commercially ones, yeah? Then you go to the underground, so you're talking Cookies and Cream, Twice as Nice, and then they're dropping your tune, and it's got the same reaction, so it's crossing over the whole spectrum. So then you're sitting down thinking, yeah, this tune, this could actually go. You get what I mean? And when it doesn't, then you look at it and you're like, well, it weren't me. I done everything I could do for it. You get what I mean? That's more the team behind it. You get what I mean? Like when it went to the marketing stage of the majors, I'm not sure they truly understand how to market it. You know what I mean? Because on the road, I must have done very near to 25, 30,000 copies of that. That tune was literally mate, that was selling like no one's business.
Yeah. I don't know a garage DJ who hasn't got a copy of it. It's mad. Like, obviously a big part of it was the remix as well. So you had like the Hutchie remix as well. That was like, I think it was even on a Pure Garage. I think EZ might have even put it on a Pure Garage. I can't remember.
Exactly, it got on a Pure Garage. Yeah, definitely. But what people have to remember as well, like when I drew for the Zed Bias remix, no one really knew who Zed was.
Yeah.
Not when Celebrate come out.
Not commercially. Yeah.
Yeah. And then he done his mix. Zed blew up.
Yep.
No one really knew LB. They knew he was heavy, but he didn't really have that. They didn't connect him with the Groove Chronicles thing. You get what I mean? It was like LB, and again, bad marketing. If he connected himself with the Groove Chronicles, then they would have known earlier. But when he done the remix of Celebrate Live, Lord have mercy, mate. But again, me from a musical perspective, that sound is very UK garage, very underground. You get what I mean? So as big and as good as it is, it's still only catering for a certain market. You get what I mean? Where, come on, everybody likes a crossover track. Yeah. But the kind of crossovers that I like are crossovers where you don't sell out your dignity. So it's like the original mixes of stuff. You get what I mean? Because that is what you crafted. That is how you wanted it to sound. Yep. To have another version of it floating around. That's not really me kind of thing.
Yeah. The original mix is fantastic. It's one of them tracks. The lyrics are obviously happy, positive, promotes a great message. It's one of them tracks that garage love. I've played to people who don't even really know about garage music, and they've heard the lyrics and they've gone, wow, like this is like quite a powerful record, you know. But yeah, it's one of them records you could throw on at any time. And something that backed up the positive message was the video that I see was it's still floating around on YouTube out there. That video is absolutely wonderful. Like, it's just so much fun, and it sums up the record. Like the journey and the story within the video. For anyone who hasn't seen it, I'm going to actually put a link to it in the description of the podcast, so you guys can go and check it out. Not just the record, but the video as well. So, how did it come about, and what was the decision to film it at Grove?
Well, you know, when you're sitting in the record company office, and you're hearing all the directors pitching their ideas towards you. And one of the ideas which they pitched, remember, I said from the get-go that I'm starring in the video, you know what I mean? I said, I'm starring in this video, so whatever happens, they wanted to have me walk down Portobello Road with 2 angel wings on my back. I went, brother, what are you smoking? I said, nah. So they all come with their ideas. And I literally said to them, I said, look, this is what I need because you guys ain't really saying nothing. I want it so that you see that I'm having a bad day and it gets bad, worse and worse and worse. And then all of a sudden, you just say, oh, well, whatever. This is how it is. Let me embrace the day. You get what I mean? Yeah. So I think the video portrays that to the letter.
Yeah, it does. It's absolutely perfect. I'll never forget the first time I see it. Obviously, it was years later because I'd never seen the video the first time around. It was only when YouTube came about and you put it up that I was like, right, actually I had a video and I watched it. I was like, it's perfect. For the record, it's perfect. And obviously seeing you in there is funny. If anyone hasn't seen it, as I say, the link to the video is going to be in the description for this episode of the podcast. So go and check it out. It's absolutely superb. I wanted to touch on Pleasure as well, because I know there's like the main two-step mix, but there's like a 4/4 kind of almost housey mix as well.
Oh, you're talking about Jeremy's mix.
Is that Jeremy, is it?
Yeah. See, that Jeremy Sylvester, the Good Karma. You're talking about that one, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, blasted Jeremy. You know what? You put mud in that man's hand and he'll make a castle. He is single-handedly the most, him, Grant Nelson, MJ Cole, for me, are the three most influential producers that have ever graced UKG.
Yeah.
Put their hands to anything, and what comes out is quality. When he come back with that mix and I heard it, I was like, wow. Because it keeps the essence of the song, keeps it nice and bubbly, but it's for the house boys, you get what I mean? And the house boys are battering that. They were battering that, you know what I mean? Excellent mix Jeremy put together there.
Yeah, so I know you said they sort of ran parallel to each other, but did you write them around the same time, or was Pleasure something that was sitting around?
Pleasure's about, Celebrate was done, Pleasure's about nearly a year later, maybe, 8-9 months later.
Yeah.
Now, what happened was, I'm in my house, there's a few political things with Pleasure that I won't go into, yeah? But I'm at my yard, and me and Francis James had written this backing track. We'd written this backing track, which ended up being the Gerardo. Bring it back to.
Do you know what's really funny, right? We're gonna pause here for a second, and I'm gonna take all this stuff off of my turntable up here, right?
Yeah.
I've left a mug on top of my, like, it's sacrilegious for DJs. Right? But I'm gonna show you something that's currently sitting on the 1210 on top of my desk.
The hot wax.
It's there. It's actually there. Do you remember I was saying to you, I remember hitting you up a couple of years ago, last year, and I was like, bruv, I need a copy of it, and you couldn't find it, and I couldn't wait for you to send me the digital, and in the end I found a copy of it on like the one-sided promo and everything.
That's how crazy I was.
I found a copy of it online, and then about 3 days after it turned up, you went, oh, I found my dad, here's your copy.
Yeah, so me and Francis James did that, So I took off his Gerardo's vocal, and I called in the Pleasure singer, and I wrote a song, and I told her to sing over the Gerardo. So if you listen closely, when you got quiet bits, you hear goom, 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 right, in the background, yeah? So once I've got the vocal now, I took the vocal off, and I was listening to Body Killing. You remember M-Dub's Body Killing?
It's the way you move, it's killing me.
Yeah, that one, yeah. And I'm sitting down, and when I say I studied this record, it must have been about...
That record's mad. The drop on that's iconic, bruv.
But the problem there's a major problem with that record. I'll explain what I mean. Right, so you listen to the record. Now, for me, and anybody that's urban, they get it straight away.
Yep.
But people that ain't urban thinks that it skips. Right? I've heard that too many times. So I'm studying the record. Then I worked out they'd missed out one bass drum. One. So instead of having theirs, what I did was goom, 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 goom. Sounds like a heartbeat. The minute I done that and put it over Pleasure, mate, all of a sudden it was like, wow, I'd never heard nothing like this before. You get what I mean? So that got done. I pressed up 2 dub plates. First one got played at where was it? No, Martin Lana's thing at
Liberty.
Liberty. A DJ was playing at Liberty, played the tune, 5 reruns. Remember, they don't know this record. It's the first time they've heard it. And then when it comes, ready for a brand new day, wah, 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 wah. That bass line on a big system does not take any prisoners, mate. And then what I did is I pressed up 10 white labels, I farmed them out, and then I held the record for 6 months. Literally, everybody screaming to get hold of this record. No one can find it, yeah? And then what I did is I pressed up 5,000 records initially. Straight away, I pressed up 5,000. I jumped in the car and I went to every shop in London, and then I went as far up to Manchester. Big shout out to Sefton, because he used to own a shop up in Manchester. I went all the way up to Manchester. I went all the way to Birmingham. I went all the way to Portsmouth. I went Bognor Regis. I went to every single shop myself, yeah, right, selling this record before I gave it to a distributor, because that's how you make the lion's share of your money. Yeah. You know what I mean? That reminds me of a story with Celebrate. So this is going to make you laugh. So when Celebrate was proper blowing, yeah, proper blowing, I've gone into Big Apple. You know Big Apple in Croydon?
Of course.
Right, so I've gone into Big Apple and I went to John. I went, same old spiel. Yeah, I'm selling my record and blah, 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 blah. And then John goes, yeah, let me hear it. So he plays it, he hears it Celebrate, and he goes, yeah, let me take 2 boxes. I went, yeah, but it's SOR. I mean, no, it's sale or return. No, I'm doing cash. I'm not doing no sale or return. I just want, you're going to do any SOR? No, it's cash, literally. He goes, don't worry. I'll get it for Essential. 11 months later, I never gave it to Essential. The next time he saw me, right? So remember, you had what was the one? The other one, West Croydon, Swag.
Yep.
So I've gone in there to see Paul, and I've gone. They haven't taken it off me. Do you want any? Played it. He goes, I've been looking for that record. Yeah, give me 2 boxes. Remember, a box is 120. He goes, there you go, 240. No argument. He must have sold in Swag at least 10 to 12 boxes of that stuff before Big Apple even got a sniff. You know what I mean? That did make me chuckle, because when I went back in and I was selling Pleasure, he goes, yeah, give me that. There was no argument. He took it off me.
It's funny because there's a conversation on episode 2 with BQ, who used to run True FM, and he had a remix of you remember False MDS Tender Love, the old
yeah.
He done like a cut up garage mix of it, and it was just something that they just put together randomly and had it pressed. And he was telling a story on episode number 2 on my podcast. He was saying that he went to Uptown Records or Black Market Records in Soho, one of the two, and he basically went in there, and the bloke was like, all right, I'll take 10 or whatever, like, cool. And he just he was like, all right, fair enough. Everywhere else was buying it out, like box here, box there, a couple boxes here, a couple boxes there, and they were like, yeah, we'll take 10. A couple of days later, they ring him up like, you got any more of that record? And he's like, nah, sorry, sold out.
That's the thing, because there was a lot of snobbery in the whole UKG thing. There was so much snobbery. Now, you know that I used to DJ. You know that the only organization that booked me to DJ was Sidewinder. Yeah. Big shout out to Sidewinder. They had me play. I don't know if they were trying to end my career before it started. Had me play after EZ. Right? So everybody knows how EZ gets down, yeah? He nailed up this place. When I say he tore it down, yeah, and I'm on after him, yeah, the first tune I dropped was Body Killing. So all of a sudden, the vibe has got conga, and I dropped my remix. You remember, like, I've done a remix of Celebrate, yeah? So I done that conga natty mix, and the first 12 tunes I done was conga natty. Mate, I had this place bubbling. No one left. Had them all, and I was just like, what these guys doing to me? You couldn't just have me on like 11 o'clock, you know what I mean? You had me on after EZ. So mad. That was cool. But yeah, they were the only people that would book me to play at proper garage sessions. So I thought, you know what? Let me go to Sharon and Tracy, because I knew a couple of people in the Sharon and Tracy team. So I got my break in Blue Orchid.
Yep.
So they used to have a R&B room. Now, the woman whose name's Nikki, big shout to Nikki, she knew I couldn't DJ. I literally learned how to DJ within 2 weeks at Blue Orchid, literally. Because I'm not saying DJing's easy, but it isn't as hard as some people make it out. You know,
a lot of it's tune selection. A lot of it's
tune selection. As long as you can beat match, because the thing that I couldn't work out for the longest time was how to get which turntable was slowing down. Once you got that, then it was game over. You get what I mean? And I had to learn that on the job. You get what I mean? So I went to Blue Orchid, and yeah, they weren't going there for my DJing skills. They were going there because Brasstooth was there, and I was DJing, and it was like their little local celebrity. You get what I'm saying? So I was DJing there, and then all of a sudden there was a club down in down the road. I forgot what the name of it was.
You had Heroes was at the back, was another one.
Yeah, I didn't play Heroes, but they, down Crown Hill they had one. I forgot the name of it, but I played there. And then the one which was further in South Croydon, I got a residency there. What was that? I can't remember the name of these clubs.
Yeah, the one under the flyover. I remember my dad used to play at. There was a McCluskey's there that turned into Escapade.
Escapade, that's the one.
Yeah,
that's the one. See, this is why I like you, old school man, because you remember them clubs where my grey man. Remember, I'm nearly 55, man. Come on now, I'm getting old.
The thing is, you got to remember that I always I remember being in, because a lot of people don't remember, there was a Coliseum in Croydon.
Yeah.
Down by Surrey Street. Now
that was one I played there as well.
Now I remember being in there on the day. This is how mad the memory is. On the day of Princess Diana's funeral.
Oh wow!
I was in the Coliseum with my dad doing a sound check and this was like '97, because they had Kim English doing nightlife in there that night, live PA.
Wow!
And I remember being in there doing a sound check with him, and I remember going there with him doing a sound check when Ultranati performed there as well.
Wow!
So I'm 10 years old, and that's how I remember all of these venues. I remember going into Brannigan's with him at 12 years old. So that's how my memories of them times are just all to do with him, all of his mates that were bouncers, people like Mike who ran Heroes, like all these other different people.
Yeah.
And I was always like, I never went to the clubs, but I went to the clubs. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but you know something? I don't think you realize how good your dad taught me a lot when it comes to DJing, literally. And it's literally, it wasn't even a case of showing me, he's going, look. And he goes, look, your floor's dead, put this on. Literally. And it would always be, show me love. Always. Always.
Do you know what's funny? Right? This is anyone who's listened to all the episodes of this podcast is going to be pissing themselves now, right? Because there's two DJs that are brothers, Blaze and SO Beats. They've both come on separate episodes, and we've had this conversation about which track will always rescue a dance floor. And I asked Blaze the question, and he was like, he sort of stalled for a minute, and he went, well, the thing is, it doesn't matter whether I'm doing a corporate or whether I'm doing a rave. The one track, and I knew he was about to say, show me love.
Show me love. Yeah, show me love. Listen, when I was in trouble, show me love. That tune there, that's the get out of jail free card. You get what I mean? Yeah, your old man showed me that, and I've never forgot that. You get what I mean? Yeah, your old man showed me. He showed me a lot. But again, I never got invited to play at the garage race because there was so much snobbery. Oh, you're a producer. No, you can't. And I was just like, mate, I'm having these tunes. You know what I mean? I'm the product. I'm trying to promote myself. And you're not letting me do that. Okay, not to worry. So I went around the Sharon and Tracy clubs, and I ended up being the guy that when their clubs were failing, they used to call me. And I used to be in the urban room. So urban obviously is all music, which has got, I won't say black orientated, because I'm like, but all music that has a certain type of groove, yeah? I'd be the guy that'd be dragged into a club, say, look, we need that room safe. They have a guy in there, he doesn't actually understand how to make it work. And I've walked in there, I always used to go in there one day early or 1 week early to see how the club's going, see what he plays, see what creates a reaction, and then work out what I need to do. Now, one of the clubs where they called me to save the night was in Reading. So I'm in this place and this guy's going, when it's DJing by numbers, but you've got a whole crowd full of African people, but you're DJing by numbers. This is 92. When I went in there now, the first record I played, there was this African tune, which went, this tune was huge, right? My Nigerian brethren gave it to me. I played this. Everybody literally went, what? He's playing African music. This was long before the African revival that they've had now.
Yeah.
Long before that. This is like 92, 93. You get what I mean? So I played this tune, and then what I started to do was incorporate a lot of kind of African music, which had kind of like either a reggae beat or a house beat. You get what I mean? And then I'd mix it in with like big house tracks, mix it in with garage. So literally, I literally kind of created like a melting pot so that everybody was literally up and jamming. You get what I'm saying? Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, you needed that, especially in places like Croydon. I remember, as I say, them times when I was growing up, it was mad because obviously my mum's got 3 sisters and they all got like personal licenses. They all ran venues and stuff around Croydon.
Oh, okay.
Whether it was like the snooker hall or, you know, one of them managed another one of the clubs there. So obviously, like between my dad always being there and my family always being from there and blah, blah, blah. I remember it when I was a kid. I do remember it just being like the heyday. Like when Croydon was Croydon, back like around the time when I was about 13, 14, it was mad. Like you couldn't go. I think there was at one point there was a study where there was over 150 bars and clubs within like a couple of square miles. Like it was bonkers, and every single one of them
was full.
Packed. Like it's mad. It was one of the places that got hit hard when they started to stop allowing garage. If you remember, they stopped letting people play garage in Croydon because of some of the things that had happened at other events that weren't in Croydon.
Yeah.
So someone told the story on that UK garage documentary of when someone, I think it was Spoonie or Timmy, one of them was playing somewhere, and Robbie Craig was there, and someone got shot.
Yeah. That was
Spoonie turned around and he said, "That's it. That's it. Scene's over. Done."
Yeah.
And after that, everywhere started getting shut down. But I remember specifically because my dad was losing gigs and he was furious about it. The garage was getting stopped in Croydon based off of stupidity that was nothing really to do with Croydon.
To do with garage, yeah, exactly. I remember being at a club in Windsor and 2 guys took their beef from wherever it was into Windsor and ended it on the dance floor. You get what I mean? And you're just like, what the hell is this all about? You get what I mean? And you know what I mean? It's like everybody's there to enjoy themselves, and you're in Windsor and you're watching this. You're like, what the hell? You get what I mean? So yeah, I mean,
it's mad though. You can't really bring your beef to end your beef in Croydon though, because Heath's just down the road, man. You don't want to be doing things like that around there.
The ends can get a bit hairy sometimes. You get what I mean? But saying that though, now he's chilled.
Yeah.
And I think that's got a lot to do with the house prices have gone up. You know what I mean? So because the house prices are more expensive, you get what I mean? It brings in a different type of person because they can't afford to live so close to London. So they're coming out. So it's just bringing new money. You get what I'm saying? So Croydon ain't what it used to be. You get what I mean?
No, as I say, I remember back in the day, like that heyday, even like I was playing there, as you know, I was doing what used to be, it went from McCluskey's to Escapade, and then they turned it into 88, I think it was called. I DJ'd there quite a few times when it first opened.
When you're down there, didn't I come down to see you one night?
I think so.
Yeah, I'm sure you were down there, and I'm jamming in the corner with my old self.
Yeah, I was down there with Hatcher was the main guy that night. It was me and Hatcher, and then I'd done another one. It was me and Mark Radford. So I was always like the resident for the promotion.
Right.
And the woman that run it, big up Diane. She's Hatcher's, she's related to him. I think she's his aunt or his cousin or something like that.
Oh,
so he always used to come down, and obviously him being local, like used to pack out a party and that. But it was never quite what it should have been. Like I never kind of felt like, you know what I mean? It just, and then we had another club there, you know, where obviously on Surrey Street you got like where the KFC is. There's like a bar there, and it's changed hands so many times.
Yeah.
So we took that over. The promotion that I was working with, the woman that I was working for that promotion, she took it over and ran a few big weekends there and stuff, and it was going all right. But then same thing, you know, like Croydon just get leery about it, and like the council around there have just, mate, the way they've stamped down on events over the years and that, do you know what I mean? It's
mate, I'm telling you. Well, listen, let me let you into something that I'm sure you don't know. You know, like the birth of Funky House.
Do you know, it's funny. I remember we sat and had a convo about this a few years ago when I came out. And we were talking about the days of the early birth of Funky House when you were getting into it with people like Footloose and that. Let's get into that.
Before that, right? So let me explain how. Now I will big up my chest. You see, my chest big enough. Let me just check if my chest is big enough. Yeah, I'm bigging up my chest. Yeah, I will go on record and say Funky House didn't exist until I started doing it. I will go on record and this is, let me explain why. So I was into broken beat and I was going to all the Bugs in the Attic type events and yada yada. And I got to know all the guys and they said, yeah, you could play there. Yeah. So obviously I had all the tunes, I was ready. They said I could play at a carnival. And then one thing led to another, and they gave the slot that I was meant to play to someone who was DJing at One Extra at the time. Now you can understand why they've done it. Politics, the guys on One Extra, they can get traction on their records, they can get their music played, yada, yada, yada. So I totally understand it. But they done that to me twice, yeah? So I was like, okay. So a friend of mine I mentioned earlier, who ran a promotion called Mum's the Word, he had a little morning session, which was like in the corner of Croydon, some little, if you know where Whitehall Lane is, yeah? Right in the corner, they had this little eatery, yeah? So he had a little session in there, yeah? And he goes, Nev, just come down here, play what you like. No one ain't telling you to get off the decks because it's my decks, but I know you got a good ear. So I said, okay. So I've got all my broken beat records, yeah? So we're talking, this is 92. No, 2002, right? No, 2002, 3. Like 2003, 2004. That's when this is, yeah? So I'm like playing at this place, and initially, nobody was having a bar of it. So what I had to do was I had to mesh the broken beat with house. So that's where you get the skippy drums from, yeah? So the tunes that I was playing at the time was Hold It Down, Bugs in the Attic, broken beat classic. Future Age, broken beat classic. Alison David, broken beat classic. But all of these became funky house classics, yeah? So I'm playing at this place, and then all of a sudden the word started to spread. You had people coming from all over London because they wanted to hear this sound. You get what I mean? So I'm playing this stuff here, and where it actually caught 100% traction. You remember Club Supreme?
Yep.
I was playing after. Let me remember the guy's name. Don't really like dropping people's name, but let me. Mixed race guy with dreads, Gavin Peters.
Oh, Gavin, yeah.
Yeah, Gavin. So I was playing after Gavin. Gavin didn't know me at the time. We didn't really talk, but he didn't even know of me, you get what I mean? So anyway, so he's playing his set, and Tina Bling, it was Tina Bling's night. I don't know if you know who Tina Bling is, but she was like a major underground promotion. She still does it now. So anyway, she's asked me to come down there and play because she's seen me at Joe Art's place, yeah? So Gavin's on there and he's playing standard house tunes. I'm not gonna knock him because he's a good DJ. I've seen him play and I've seen him tear places up. But it looked like people were literally on their way, ready to go because they're all at the bars. There's no one dancing. It just looked like he was just going through the motions until he played his record till the next DJ turned up. Yeah, so next DJ happened to be me. Now remember, everybody's by the bars. You could grow corn in the middle of the dance floor. That's how empty it was. Yeah, there was enough room on there. You could have started Formula One. There was enough room to get there was that much space in there. Yeah. So I've gone in there, and the first tune I dropped was Future Age. So boom, 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 boom. People are like, what? What's this? So I've let that tune ride, yeah? And then I dropped the, is it Bullo by Copyright?
Yeah.
So I dropped that. So and it's not even the tune itself, it's the mix. You have to be so tight because one's like skippy and one is straight 4/4. So all of a sudden now, that mix, as in the two different tracks, is creating the energy. All of a sudden now, the floor starts to fill out. Listen, within 4 records, I had this dance floor ram, and I didn't need to play Show Me Love.
See, it's interesting because we've had the conversations about UK funky and that on the pod as well, and it's like the sound that it came out of. Really, I know obviously like everyone cites Cure and the Calls as the big record, and we all laugh because it's not UK funky. It's an American producer and it's an Irish band that made the record. But like from that sound, Copyright was a big influence from it. So I remember going to a Defected rave when I was about 18, about 2004, 2005, and hearing Copyright,
Bring Me Love, boom, 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 boom,
Yeah,
boom,
yeah,
boom.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
But
yeah,
that
yeah.
had that same skippiness, and then you had like DJ Gregory's
Yeah, yeah,
tracks
yeah, yeah,
were
yeah,
flipped as
yeah,
well.
yeah,
So you
yeah,
had that sound, the Afrobeat sound, plus
yeah,
no real direction for soulful house at that time as well. And
yeah,
it all kind of came together. But it was by events like that where
yeah,
you're doing things like literally in my old radio sets, I would play exactly what you just said. I would be playing a straight 4/4 house track. And then I would bring in something like the hard soul with the like just over the
yeah,
top.
exactly.
So
And
that
it's the
it just
mix.
brings it up. It just brings up the
Yeah,
energy so much more.
it's the mix. It's not even the tune, because you play the tune in its own. When it's not in the mix, it hasn't got the same energy. But that's why you find you're riding the mix for so long. You get what I mean? Another place I played, yeah, I will never forget this one. So I've done Supreme and I had 69 over the road, yeah? You remember around the corner, Studio 69?
Yep.
Or whatever it's called. So I've gone in there, yeah? I think it was Funky Smith's event. No. Ford. It was his event, yeah? So I've gone in there with Gerard. Me and Gerard's gone in there, yeah? Gerard's, he's got a 2-hour set. He's played the first set. I played the second. First hour, I played the second hour, yeah? We're back to back, yeah? He goes, do you want to play back to back? I went, nah, you play your first bit and I'll play mine. So he's gone and he's played his. And there's 2 rooms and our room was pretty empty. You get what I mean? So Gerard's doing his thing and people are walking in, walking out, but it's kind of like a pass-through thing, yeah? When I come on, the first tune I dropped was Amy Winehouse, My Bed. Brother, within 3 records, everybody's come out the main room. Remember, Norris is playing in the main room, you know. Everybody's come out of the main room. They're in the little foyer in this place, yeah. I've got this thing, jacking this thing. DJs, all of them, all the big name DJs come up. What's that record? What's that record? Norris has come up because his room's quiet now. So he's let the number 2 DJ come up and he's come to see what all the commotion's about. And even he goes, Brass, what's that record? What's that record? They've never heard none of this. But you got to remember, I'm going to events, yeah, where I'm hearing music that I'm thinking, yeah, if I played this here with this, you get what I mean? So I'm making my sets as I'm going to all these different events, knowing that these guys won't know what these records are. And I honestly, truly believe the thing that slowed down the progression of Funky House is when it stopped being, because remember, in the early days, it was vocal led.
Yep.
Remember, when Garage was at its best, it was vocal led. And then when it starts getting instrumental now, that's when you start getting, I'm not cussing MCs because MCs do what they do, you know what I mean? A good MC is a host, you get what I mean? And these guys, you can see, like, if you look at Get Gigs and all them guys there, they've got big careers. So they're valid, you get what I mean? They're all valid, they've all got big careers. But when you've got an instrumental, this is where they come and do their thing, you get what I mean? And when you take the vocals off and start dropping instrumentals, this is what happens. And the problem is now where all the tunes that I used to play, when I used to DJ, MCs couldn't go on them because they were all vocal. Literally from start to finish, there was no, you know what I mean? But people seem to believe to make a tune harder, you've got to take the vocals off. Nah. You make a hard tune, you put the vocal on it, that sticks in your head. Yep. Look at Pleasure. That tune is hard.
It is.
You get what I mean?
Yeah.
And it sticks in your head. You get what I mean? You got all the girls, when I wake up, you get what I mean? They're all still singing that now. You get what I mean?
Yeah, man. Vocals are important for me. It's always again, it's conversations that we've had on the podcast, like the music that I've always played. You know, I've always loved my soulful house, always loved garage, obviously. And you know, a lot of the music, a lot of the mixes I've put out the last few years have been very disco influenced and stuff like that. But all of the music I play, it has to have a soul. I always say, if the music doesn't have a pair of bollocks and a soul, I can't vibe to it, you know. And there was a lot of the UK funky, like when it turned into the skank tracks and all that, I weren't really about it. Like, I couldn't be bothered with any of that.
I totally agree.
I had to leave all of that behind. But them tunes you mentioned there, like the Amy Winehouse, the Bugs in the Attic remix, in my bed, that was so influential for the funky scene, even though it was never a UK funky track. The other track as well was probably, do you remember Hear This? Hey Girl? Look over your
brother,
shoulder.
listen. I went to I was the first guy to play that record. I went to university with Roxy.
Oh, okay.
He gave that record to me on a white label. Yeah. I spent 8 months literally breaking that record. Everywhere I went, that record would be in my first 5 records. You know what I mean?
That
I
was
used to play
proper influential for them times. Like, a lot of people forget about that, and a lot of people forget about the album as well. The album was absolutely sick.
Well, there was a second record that Roxy had on there, yeah, which was SOS.
Yeah.
That tune there, I was just in the process to batter that tune, and then all of a sudden they stopped booking me because by then now everyone started hearing the tunes, and then you had the Wigmans, you had the Footlooses, and this, that, and the other. Yeah. So I noticed that all my bookings started to die down, and on top of that, I think at the time I had my youngest was turning up, so it was a case of, mate, I need to be earning solid money here. You know what I mean? I can't run around doing that little dream being, yeah, I'm going to be the next big. No. You got to get money because, boy, my kid needs food. You get what I mean?
Yeah. It turns that way for a lot of people. If you're not going to, it got to that stage of me where it was like actually pursuing my career and my relationship at home, or carrying on with the label and the other stuff that I was doing. And you just have to get that balance right. And for me, like, it's a lot more hard nowadays because everything's like marketing and social media based, whereas I'm about music. Do you know what I mean? So, I mean, my label that we had like records out on there that a couple of them got played on Kiss, got played on other places. But
your label was good, remember? But then I always said that to you, though. I always said that I liked what you guys were doing because you weren't really following nobody. You were putting out what you liked. And to me, that is the best A&R man you can get. Not someone who's saying, oh yeah, I think this will work. Someone who goes, F it, I like this record, I'm putting it out. You get what I mean? Those to me are the best A&R guys. You get what I mean?
I think it's just difficult to get that balance right. And as you say, when you got kids on the way, when you got family to feed, and that, it's just long. So, but yeah, man. Obviously a wild ride.
If you're wondering why I'm moving around, I've got to plug in my computer. Battery's dying. I'll give you a joke because you remember I told you I was just in the studio, yeah? So I was just in the studio and I've literally just kind of like, all it is this one group.
Sneak peeks right here on the podcast, where
that's what I'm saying. I'm literally was just working on that, so I'm going to turn out something really, really soulful, and then
let's talk about the new stuff.
Live.
Let's talk about the new stuff and the new remixes then, because obviously you had a little time away and that, and we caught up a while back, and you had like a set of pleasure remixes that came out. But obviously you tended to keep a lot of stuff, as you say, close to your chest. You don't really give shit away to people and things like that. But recently you've had quite a few new bits going up on the Bandcamp with regards to remixes and stuff. And there's a really sick remix of Celebrate Life on there, but there's also a great remix from Wookie. So let's talk about the Wookie remix, man.
Mate, that the way that come about, you know. Mate, I was just feisty because I know Jason. I've known Jason for years. I knew his brother Leon as well. Rest in peace.
Yeah,
nice guy. You get what I mean? So I'm chatting to Jason. I go, Jay, what you say, man? I haven't heard no Wookie recently. What you say? He goes, well. He goes, Jason said, he ain't really inspired. Nothing's really inspiring. Do me a remix to Celebrate then. And he goes, he literally went quiet. All right then. I went, what? He goes, yeah, all right then. And it was literally, he's done it to me as a favor. I didn't even have to pay him nothing for it. He's literally done it to me as a favor. So obviously, further on down the line, I'll do him a mix when he needs one, you get what I'm saying? But he done that. And I do like where he's actually gone with it, because I wouldn't have done that and I wouldn't have gone over there. But what he's done, he's made the vocals work on the music back. So yeah, respect to that. You get what I mean? But it just, sometimes it feels good where you got these legends. And to me, I can call him a legend because he, again, is, I don't think people realize.
It's funny, you mentioned earlier about, you mentioned earlier about Grant Nelson, Jeremy Sylvester, and obviously MJ Cole as well.
Wookie's in there as well.
Wookie, like, slightly later than them lot, but he changed the game. He
changed. When I say that man changed the game, initially, I thought about retiring when I heard his stuff. Because I was like, how? You know what I mean? His music, I don't think when he released things on Manchu, there was a tune that was rubbish.
Nah.
You know what I mean? Because of Wookie and the way he done, did you ever hear the remix of Brandy that I done, Almost Don't Count?
Almost Doesn't Count, yeah. Great.
Right. Now, you remember the dirty Kiss Your Granny, Sell Your Uncle bass line on that, yeah? That's influenced by Wookie, because when you hear his stuff up loud, wham, 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 wham. It's influenced by that kind of stuff. And I'm like, okay, I'm not really into the knob twisting, but I've got to get something that gives you the same sonic feel. You get what I mean?
It's mad. When I was, I've mentioned it a couple of times today, but that documentary where everyone's talking about the UK garage thing, Wookie was on there, and everyone on there was saying that he changed the game and everything else. But he was talking about when 138 Trek came out, like he said, like Storm was kind of like his reply to like almost like a send for that tune. And the thing that always springs to my mind, obviously everyone's seen the meme of Michael Jordan when he says like, and I took that personally. And it was like when Wookie's talking about 138 Trek, he's like, heard it, wasn't that impressed by it. And I was like, and he took it personally and he made Storm, which is one of the most ridiculous records of all time.
The problem with Wookie for me is that every time I hear a new Wookie song, I want to retire. I literally want to just, because my man, he just gets me scratching my head, you know what I mean? Because he thinks so left of center. I'm just like, wow, yeah, it's always, you know what I mean?
I remember he did an interview on Mystic Matt's show on a pirate station years ago, and I was friends with Matt, going back a long time, and Wookie was on there, and he said to me the day before, he's like, I got Wookie coming on tomorrow, lock in. I was like, okay, cool. I was like, do me a favor, ask him why so many of his tunes don't drop on the drop, but like the beat comes in after the drop. So you've got that break and then it drops. It's like so many DJs, if they've never heard Wookie before, that will throw them off. Like you've got to have played a couple of Wookie records to understand the structure of the tune. But I messaged it in and he was like, oh, so I got a question from Jay, and he was just like, oh yeah, how come? And Wookie just went, well, just is what it is, isn't it? Don't do it for any reason. I just like the sound. I was like, boom, fair enough.
But you know, a lot of like a few of these tunes, I couldn't mix some of these tunes in, because when you actually get the mix riding and it kicks in, it's on the off. So a lot of times when I play this stuff, I used to just start with it.
Yeah. Some of the time, some of the records are best dropped just as an impact track as well. Like Storm, for example, is a prime example. If you're in a rave and you're going a little bit harder with the garage, and all of a sudden you just stop the deck and go bum 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 bum, and then the beat, bruv, the place just always goes bananas. Same with like, you know, people often mix like Down on Me, but you don't really need to mix that tune. You just need to drop it from boom 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 boom, and that's it.
Exactly.
Like,
but you're talking about drops. Pleasure, that had the dirtiest drop for a long time. You know what I mean? when she goes with the vocal and then bah, 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 bah. Come on now.
It changes up the whole record, like we were saying earlier. You've got the niceness of the vocal, and then it's just like, oh, what the fuck was that?
You know what I mean? And usually, if the tune is hot, within the first 2-3 bars, you know what I mean?
So yeah, you've got the other remix of Celebrate Life. Funny enough, I was just listening to it before we started the pod. Is it Final Cut Collective? Is that the one?
Yeah, you know what? I haven't even met them per se, but I speak to them online, and I was talking to the guy, and he was like, "Oh, I'd really like to do a remix of your stuff." When he was talking, literally, I wouldn't say he wasn't begging; he was just asking, you know, as a fan. And I went, "Oh, have you done stuff before?" And he goes, yeah, here's my stuff. So give me a website address or whatever. And I went and checked out his stuff, and I was like, rah, this guy's good, because usually I don't really give out my stuff unless it's to certified people. Yep. So I said, you know what, let me get it to this brother. And he come back with his remix, and brother, I can't lie, I like that remix, because when people do remixes for me, I don't want to hear a remix that I would do, because if that's the case, then I'll do it. Yeah. I want to hear something that I wouldn't even think in the ballpark of doing. And when he done that and I heard it, I was like, mate, that's a great mix. I remember I sat on that mix for about a year, 2 years. And then initially I sat on it to wait to put it out. And then I lost the hard drive. And it's only because I found the hard drive recently, I was like, oh, that has to come out. That has to come out. You know what I mean? And it's had a pretty good response as well, you know? It's had a really good response, that one. No, I mean, I've heard
really great. It's really great.
Yeah, Fen played it. Ramsey's played it. EJB's played it. Mate, lots of people have downloaded it and played it. You know what I mean? Jeremy Sylvester's played it. You get what I mean? And they're all saying, yeah, we like this mix. You get what I mean? But what's happening is they're playing that mix, and then they're going to my Bandcamp site, seeing the Wookie mix, and then downloading that as well. So both of them are kind of playing in tandem. You get what I mean?
It's good. It's good to get them out there. How is the experience on Bandcamp? Because I know like your stuff ain't really up on stream sites or anything like that. You kind of use the Bandcamp thing, and I've seen a lot of people talking about it recently as literally being the best way for independent artists, especially to have their music out there. What would you think is that right? Do you think it's best to keep your stuff off of these like downloads and streaming sites and just put them on something like Bandcamp?
Let me tell you something, rude boy. Me on Bandcamp, I sell my Bandcamp waves for the same price of vinyl.
Yeah.
And my argument is this. You can put your tune up there for £1. It doesn't mean it's going to sell anymore. You can put it up there for 50 pence. It doesn't mean it's going to sell anymore. If you got your tune up, all my tunes up there are £5 and they sell, which means one, they're quality records, and two, people want to buy them. And three, which I think is the little minor thing, is if you spent £5 for a record, you ain't going to give it away to someone else.
Yeah.
You get what I mean? Because you're gonna spend that. You ain't give it. Oh yeah, I've got that. Yeah, I said it's £1. You'd be like, oh yeah. I'll send you a copy of it. At a £5, brother, you're vexed you've had to spend that money. You get what I mean?
It's true.
And the thing is, for me, none of my stuff, you notice, none of it's on streaming. And people keep on saying, yeah, you need to have it on Spotify. No, I'm not doing it, because I come from the era of when the A&R man was the likes of you, was the likes of people, the everyday man, walking into the record shop, putting the record on the turntable, listening to it, and if they liked it, they bought it. There was a whole ecosystem, there was an underground culture. Now, you give your money to a promotion artist, promotion company, and they push your record around, they send out how many X, Y, and Z amounts of copies of your tune. It still doesn't mean your tune's gonna work. Nowadays, because they've taken away the A&R off the street, and I'm talking about the everyday man, the quality of music, in my personal opinion, isn't as good as it should be. And some of the good tracks are being missed because they're not buzz names, you get what I mean? People ain't hunting for records no more, you get what I mean? They're not going through crates, they're not going through websites. Because this man's playing it, this man's playing it, this man's playing it, then I need to play it. For me, because this and this man's playing it, that's the reason for me not to play it and find something that, you know what I mean, which is as good, which will create the same vibe, but these guys ain't playing it, because that's what used to make a DJ individual. You get what I mean?
Yep.
You know what I mean?
100% right. Like obviously with with my Flight FM show that I held for a couple of years there, like every Saturday, I would have staples that I knew would be good to play, or that I knew it was someone from a friend's label that needed it played or whatever else. But then I'd also have at least an hour's worth of tracks every single week that other people weren't playing, bruv. Other people just weren't playing them records, and people would be like, "Oh, where'd you get this tune? Where'd you get this tune? Where'd you get?" It's like, it's called just sitting down and go. Like the mad thing is, in the internet age, is I don't even have to leave my house and go record shop. I can just sit online and scroll through. I remember playing tracks from. I've got one geezer, I can't remember his name, but he's like a Ukrainian like deep house artist, and he had like 55 views on YouTube. And I just like listened to his tracks and I was like, this music's actually sick. And I was playing his stuff. I was playing 5 or 6 of his records in the same set. No one knew who he was. So no one could say to me, oh, why are you playing all the same? But they were all a bit different and they all had a good vibe. And for me, that's the art of it, that's the fun of it. And there's so much music, as you say, that's just throwaway nowadays. So I think if people are going to pay £5 for a record, like you say, they're more likely to keep hold of it, cherish it, and play it more as well.
Well, exactly, because you've had to go to the trouble. Remember, every now and again, I'll promote my Bandcamp page on my Facebook, because I've got 2 different Facebook pages. I've got my work one, and I've got the Brasstooth one, which, well, that's got X, Y, and Z thousands. But
that's the one that you kicked off dramas on with a fucking status that had about 25,000 comments on it.
You remember that? You know what? And the thing is, me and Tony Floyd now are good friends. And that whole thing started over a misunderstanding. Mate, that was ridiculous, because that went on for 3 days. I think it had like 2,000 comments.
Yeah.
It just went on and on, because I misunderstood what he said. And I thought he was implying that I didn't know what I was talking about when it comes to UKG. And I went, oh yeah, well, I done this, I done this, I done this. It sold this, it sold this, it sold this. I played here, I played here. I've done this, I've done this, but I don't know what I'm talking about, mate. When I say the supporters come out of the woodwork and started cussing, mate, I feel so sorry for Tony here, because when he explained what he meant, I was like, oh, my brother. So once he explained it, I had to try and get everybody to stop cussing. And then it's too late. They'd started, so they were going.
Jesus.
That went on for about 3-4 days.
Mad.
That was mad. That was mad.
Social media is a wild place, but it is a good place, as you say, to post up the Bandcamp. And I'm happy you've got some of that. I was really gassed when I saw you put the Brandy remix up there as well. I think it's but I think it's good for things like that though, for old white labels and stuff. There's like even Jeremy Sylvester you mentioned earlier, he's put so much of his back catalogue up on Bandcamp.
Yeah.
And I've bought them. Like there's copies on iTunes, but the quality's not good, or do you know what I mean? But he's put some of his remixes up there, like he put up his 2-step mix of Jodeci. Like the Club Asylum one, that oh my god, he's put that up on there, and I'm like, yep, copying that. There's so much of his stuff on there.
This is what I'm saying. If you work your Bandcamp correctly, because I was having a conversation with Carl Tough-Enough, and he was saying, yeah, what you need to do is, with your new tunes, you should take them down and sell vinyl. You know what? Some of these guys are selling vinyl at £30 a copy. For vinyl, that's exploitation for me. You get what I mean? I know that I'm not the cheapest guy on Bandcamp, but it's still reasonable. You get what I'm saying? But to sell, like if I made vinyl, I would still sell the vinyl at I would sell the vinyl for the same price I sold the MP3s. You get what I mean? Because for me, that is the price. You get what I mean? When I'm hearing like £30, and I know there's certain DJs that are pressing up vinyl, they've got 300 copies, and they're selling the lot at £30 a copy. Mate, remember, you're one of these guys who still like vinyl. How are you going to justify buying one record for £30 when you can get 6? You can get 6 Brasstooth. And remember, I'm not saying that you're going to buy all of mine. You go to some other places, you can get 30 records for that. Some people are selling their tunes for 50 pence. Okay, you go and listen to them. Not all of them are good, but it might have one in there that is. Yeah. You get what I mean? You know.
Yeah, I went to a secondhand record shop in Camden a few years ago, and they had like a lot of it was all like rock and reggae and stuff like that, but they had a little dance music section. Yeah. I was flicking through there, and I found a double pack vinyl of so my favorite record of all time is a track called The Boss, and originally it was Diana Ross, but the remix.
That's hold on, don't tell me. Let me remember. Oh God, Masters at Work, yeah.
Yeah. The Masters at Work done the remix pack, and the vocalist was obviously the Braxton sisters.
Yeah.
The original was Diana Ross, but there's a double vinyl with all of the different dub mixes and the original album mix, which is like the big one. But I found that for like £4 in a shop that clearly didn't know what they were sitting on.
Exactly. I tell you what,
you can go and do things like that and find gems. Do you know what I mean? You haven't got to try and buy the latest thing for 30 quid when you're probably like that same DJ will probably put it up for download in 6 months time, because it like the vinyls have gone, but it's all been bought by nerds who don't DJ, so the tune's not going to blow. Right?
Well, I tell you what I found going around the record shops. I found a box set of Whitney Houston, every record Whitney Houston made in a box set, £5.
Wow,
mate, that smoke probably worth £200. Yeah. I couldn't believe it. Still shrink wrapped.
It's insane,
mate.
It's absolutely insane.
They just don't know what they got.
Things ain't what they used to be, mate. But it's been a pleasure sitting down and reminiscing and talking about everything with you, man. Just we've done well over an hour. But the thing is, yeah, mate, these podcasts go like that. My last episode, the last episode I dropped like this week, as we speak, we're speaking early. This one's going to drop next week, but I dropped an episode yesterday and it was just me. I did a solo show and I only done just over an hour or so. I done about the same time as this. And I said, the reason being is because the episode before that was 4 hours long.
Yeah.
And it's so easy to sit down and get into a conversation and do a 4-hour podcast. And you like literally, my mate who I've done it with, he said to me, he's like, brother, it felt like a 10-minute chat.
This is what I'm saying. You know what I mean? It's funny you should say that, because changing the subject slightly, every Wednesday night, I'm giving a plug to my boy, MJ Cole. He has a Twitch thing where he goes and he makes a tune from scratch. So I watch him if I'm not working on a Wednesday night. And I'm telling you, me being crusty and old, the amount that I've learned of that guy, you get what I mean? Every Wednesday, you get what I mean? And it's like, he done one tune, 5 hours, the 4.5 hours the podcast was, or the Twitch broadcast was, tune was finished. You get what I mean? But it's 4 hours, you get what I mean? You don't realize until you're thinking, damn, I've got to be at work in 5 hours. You get what I mean?
Yeah, the social media rabbit holes are mad. And speaking of socials, where can people catch you and your stuff on Insta, Bandcamp, Facebook, everything else?
Yeah, well, obviously I'm on Facebook. It's Neville L. Smith. You know what I mean? I've got the same name as Funky Smith. That's another story, mate. People come to my page, Funky. No, this is Brasstooth. You get what I mean? Bandcamp, you've got me Brasstooth at Bandcamp. You get what I mean? Pretty much most of my stuff's gonna be on Bandcamp. I doubt that I'm gonna go on the streaming sites because I can't get my brain around 0.007 of a penny.
Nah.
So you've got to sell 1 million.
As someone who ran a label, trust me, when them statements come in and you see them Spotify statements, fuck all that. I'm done with it.
Exactly. 1 million listens for $4,000.
Yeah.
Some people that's not even half a month's work. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's just, listen, go out there, earn your money, and then you can do stuff like this for the love of it. And then when you're doing it for the love, that's when the good stuff comes.
Yeah, for sure. You
get what I mean?
Well, mate, thank you very much for coming on the pod, man. Episode number 12 is a wrap. The one and only legendary Brasstooth. Any final messages for the people then?
Why? You know what? Just keep on doing what you guys do. You know what I mean? Keep on listening. Keep on collecting music. Mate, when the clubs and everything open, let's just go out there and enjoy the music, man. Just enjoy the music.
For sure. Nev, thank you once again, mate. It's been a pleasure.
James, always a pleasure. You know, I'm at the end of a phone anytime you need me, my friend. Stay in contact.
All good. Big up everyone for tuning in. Don't forget to follow, subscribe, share, all them good things there. And we'll catch you on the next episode. Peace.